All right, we are currently learning Masechet Megillah, Daf Beis Amud Aleph. We're doing an entire Daf. Here we go. Megillah nikret b'Yud Aleph, b'Yud Bet, b'Yud Gimel, b'Yud Daled, b'Tet Vav. Lo pachot v'lo yoter. So, what does that mean? We read the Megillah on the 11th of Adar, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Lo pachot, you can't read before the 11th of Adar. V'lo yoter, you can't read after the 15th of Adar. Krachin hamukafin choma mimot Yehoshua bin Nun. What does that mean? What is a krach hamukaf choma mimot Yehoshua bin Nun? It is a walled city. A walled city from the times of Yehoshua bin Nun. Read korim b'Tet Vav. Read on the 15th of Adar. Any walled city, even if it broke down afterwards, if it was walled from the times of Yehoshua bin Nun, we read on the 15th. Okay? The Gemara will explain Amud Bet why walled cities from Yehoshua bin Nun and why on the 15th. Okay, so that's one out of three different kind of cities. You have a walled city, that's the first. The second and third is called a kfar, kfarim va'ayarot gdolot. Kfarim are villages, ayarot gdolot are open cities. Says the Mishnah, kfarim ve'ayarot gdolot korin b'yudaled. So we read on the 14th. If you're a walled city, it's on the 15th. If you're an open city or a village, on the 14th. Says the Mishnah, Ela, שהכפרים מקדיmin leyom haknisa. That the villages, Rashi says, midarabanan, the rabbis are metaken to comfort the villagers that they can read on Yom HaKnisa. What is Yom HaKnisa? Yom HaKnisa is a Monday or a Thursday, the days where the villagers went into the city in order to go to Beis Din. That was when the villagers would enter the city. So because that's a time of when everybody is assembling together, so we read the Megillah for the villagers on Mondays or Thursdays. Okay, so again, I'm repeating. Walled cities, we read on the 15th. Open cities, we read on the 14th. Villages, we read on Yom HaKnisa, which is either a Monday or a Thursday. Okay, now the Mishnah is going to give us examples starting from Monday. So it's going to go an example of Monday, when if Purim lands on Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday, then Sunday. So we're starting with Monday. Ketzad, says the Mishnah, Ketzad. Chaliot Yudalet B'Sheni, if Yudalet lands on a Monday, Kfarim v'ayarot gdolot korin bo bayom. So if Yudalet lands on a Monday, an open city and villages read on the day. Bo bayom means the day of. Okay? Umukafot choma, a walled city reads lemachar, the next day, which would be Tuesday. Okay? Chaliot b'shlishi, if Purim lands on a Tuesday, or berevi'i, or on a Wednesday, kfarim magdimin lemaknisa. Villagers, they go back to Yom HaKnisa, which would mean they go back to Monday, right? They would go back to Monday. Because naturally, Purim lands on either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, they go back to Yom HaKnisa, which is a Monday. So that would mean that they're reading on the 13th of Adar or either the 12th of Adar, okay? Because the 14th lands on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday, they're going back a day to Monday. Or 2 days if it's Wednesday. Vayarot gdolot korim bo bayom. And open cities read that day. Umukafot choma lemachar. And a walled city read the next day. Okay. Chaliot b'chamishi. So now we already did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now we're at Thursday. Chaliot b'chamishi. If it lands on a Thursday. Kfarim vayarot gdolot korim bo bayom. So a kfar, which is a village, and ayarot gdolot read the day of, which is going to be the Thursday, right? Umukafot choma lemachar on Friday. Chaliot erev Shabbat. Now we're up to Friday. Chaliot erev Shabbat. Kfarim magdimin leyom HaKnisa. A kfar, villages will read on the day of the Knisa, which is going to be Thursday, right? Because it's always Monday to Thursday. And we always go back in time. We never go ahead of time. We always go back in time. And what's interesting here is that even a walled city, which would naturally have to read it the day after, because remember it's always Tet Vav, which is always after one day, because Purim is Yudalet, so Tet Vav's afterwards. We never read the Megillah on Shabbos. We never ever. The Gemara will later on explain why. But the idea is we never read on Shabbos. Therefore, the walled cities read on the 14th like the open cities. Now, so the Mishnah, we're up to Saturday. Chaliot b'Shabbat. If the Megillah Yudal lands on Shabbos, kfarim v'ayarot gdolot, villages and open cities, magdimin v'korin Yom HaKnisa. So they go back to Yom HaKnisa. Also, open cities We don't read it on Shabbos. We go back to Yom HaKnisa, which is a Thursday. Now the Rishonim ask, why do we go all the way back to a Thursday? Just read it on a Friday. So the answer is, since we're anyways moving the Megillah, we're anyways moving it back. Thank you. We're anyways moving it back, so we may as well move it back all the way to Yom HaKnisa. Okay. Now we're at the end, guys. We're at the end of the Mishnah. So it lands on a Sunday. A village will go back all the way to Yom HaKnisa, to Thursday. Yeah, so that's going to be, we're going to go back Shabbos, Friday, and all the way to Thursday. So we're going to go 3 days back. That means if Purim is on Yud Dalet is on Sunday, they're going to read on Yud Aleph, which is Thursday, right? Says the Gemara. Megillah, it says in the Mishnah, Megillah nikret b'Yud Aleph. We read the Megillah on the 11th. Ask the Gemara, Minalan, why do we read on Yud Aleph? Says the Gemara, what do you mean Minalan? Minalan could have been on Lemimar Kaman. We explained later on in the Gemara that we're allowed to read later on because the rabbis themselves who decreed it allow it. Says the Gemara, that's not the question. But no, sorry, if you keep reading, it says in the Gemara, so the Gemara asked, the Havamina was that the Gemara asked, what is this idea of reading before Yud Dalet? It says Yud Dalet and Tedvav. Why are we reading on the 13th, 12th, and 11th? The Gemara says, what do you mean why? We explain later on in the Gemara in Daf Daled that we do so in order to be mekel. Chachamim were mekel on the villagers to read on Yom HaKnisa. So of course it makes sense. Of course you read on 13th, 12th, and 11th. It's to go easy on the villagers. Says the Gemara, no. So that's obviously not the Minala that the Gemara asked. Says the Gemara, Anan, Haki Kamlina. This is the question. Right? Because guys, who was metaken the Megillah reading? Who was metaken the whole idea of reading the Megillah on Purim? It's Anshe Knesset Agdola. They're the authors of the Megillah. Who wrote the Megillah? The Gemara Masechet Bava Basra Daf Dalet says that it was Mordechai. So if Mordechai was a part of the Anshe Knesset Agdola, so since it's Anshe Knesset Agdola that tell us to read on Yud Dalet and Tet Vav, so let's keep reading. If Anshe Knesset Agdola are the reason why we read on Yud Dalet and Tet Vav, also Rabbanon, can the rabbis afterwards, who's the rabbis? Rabbis would be Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Gamliel, whatever, all the Tanas. Could they come and Ve'akri takada v'tekinu Anshe Knesset Agdola? Do they have the right to go against Anshe Knesset Agdola? If Rabbi Akiva appeared to you in a dream and he said to you, don't do Psukkah de Zimra, don't do Baruch Shamar. Baruch Shamar is stupid. Don't do Baruch Shamar. I don't think it's smart, right? Baruch Shamar is something that Anshe Knesset Agdola will metaken, and he says to you in a dream, don't do it, it's dumb, it doesn't work. Can you follow Rabbi Akiva? So says the Mishnah, look at this, Botnan. I'll give you guys an example. It's not the Gemara. The Gemara's not talking about Psukkah de Zimra. I'm just trying to give you guys the visual. We have a Mishnah, Botnan, Ein Beis Din Yachol Levatel Divrei Beit Din Chavero, Ela Im Ken Gadol Mimeno B'Chochma U'Beminyan. Beis Din, if one Beis Din wants to go against the other Beis Din, there's a condition. You can't just debate another Beis Din. You have to be greater than the other Beis Din in order to do so. And because Rabbi Akiva is much less than Anshe Knesset Agdola, he didn't have Nevuah, right? Anshe Knesset Agdola all had all Nevim. Since the reason we read on the 14th and the 15th is because of Nevim, how can we read if 11, 12, and 13 is because of the Tanas? How can the Tanas go against Anshe Knesset Agdola? Just like you don't follow Rabbi Akiva if he tells you not to say Psukkah de Zimra, because Psukkah de Zimra is from Anshe Knesset Agdola, and you have to be, and he's not greater than Anshe Knesset Agdola. So too, in regards to reading the Megillah, it says in the Megillah's Esther, in the 9th chapter, it says we read on the 14th and the 15th. So how can, if it's rabbinical that we read on 11, 12, and 13, how can the rabbis go against Anshe Knesset Agdola? They're not better than Anshe Knesset Agdola. It's impossible. So it says the Gemara like this: Ela pshita kulu Anshe Knesset Agdola takinu. It's obvious that the people who say, the Mishnah that says you can read the Megillah and Yud Aleph, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel, is Anshe Knesset Agdola themselves. The same Anshe Knesset Agdola that said we read the Megillah on the 14th and the 15th, they're saying we read it on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. It says the Gemara, Heicha Remiza. What's the source? Where does it say, you can't just invent stuff. You have to have a reason. You have to have a source. Where does it say in the Megillah that you can read the Megillah itself on 11, 12, and 13? It says the Gemara, we have two answers to this. Okay, two answers. Amar Rav Shem bar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan. Amar Kara says in the Mishnah. It says in the Megillah Esther. Lekayem et yimei hapurim ha'ele bizmanehem. What does it mean bizmanehem? You see, zmanim marbeh takinu lehem. There's a lot of time in order to read. Says the Gemara. We need this verse in order to teach us that we read on the 14th and 15th. You can't learn from the Zmani Hem 11, 12, and 13. It's already used up. It's used up for the 14 and 15. Says the Gemara, no. In Ken Le Mekara Zman. The verse should have said Zman. We would have known. We read on the Zman. What Zman of 14 and 15? Why does it say the extra Hem? Zman Ne Hem. What's the Yud Hey Mem? What's it coming to teach us? It's coming to teach us Zmanim Tuva. Teach you that there's more than 14 and 15. So yes, the literal verbiage in the Megillah Esther is 14 and 15. But there's mani him to add also 11, 12, and 13. Says the Gemara, we need the verse to teach us that 14 is not like 15, 15 is not like 14. So why are we saying that we're adding 11, 12, and 13? It's already used up to teach us a separate idea. That zmanu shel zeh, lav kizmanu shel zeh. Right? Right, to teach us that somebody who is a Yudalid person cannot read on Tetvav, and somebody who's a Tetvav person cannot read on Yudalid. So it's already used up for a Yalfusa, for a teaching. That's the Gemara, no. Im ken nebakara, just say in the verse, Zmanam. Without the hey, my Zman nehem. What is that extra verbiage, the extra hey, therefore? Shabbos mina kuleu. So now we have from the hey, from the extra wording, the extra letters of Yud Hey, we can derive also 11, 12, and 13. Clear? All right. Ask the Gemara, Ema Zmanim. 1 second. Ask the Gemara, Ema Zmanim Tuva, Zmanihem. Okay, so now the Gemara is asking a new question. Asking the Gemara, Ema Zmanim Tuva. Maybe instead of saying 11 and 12, say Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Yud, Alf, Yud, Gimel. Why did we say Daf, Yud, Alf, and Yud, Beis, and Yud, Gimel? Why only 3 numbers? Why not add 10 digits, 20 digits, 20 days? Why just 3 days? That's the Gemara. No. Why? Zmanehem, Dumya, Zmanam. We learned Zmanehem, Dumya, Zmanam, just like Zmanam. What does that mean? Ma Zmanam, the natural order was 2 days. Av Zmanehem, Trei, is going to be 2 days. Ask the Gemara, so maybe it should be 12 and 13. Why is it also 11 and 12 and 13? You said 2. So why we're doing 3? As the Gemara, כדבר רב שמעון בר יצחק, י"ג זמן קהילה לקולי, ולא צריך לרבויי. החנם י"ג זמן קהילה לקולי, ולא צריך לרבויי. Says the Gemara, 13 isn't obvious. If I had to guess what day I'm going to read the Megillah, I had to guess. I didn't have any Torah, I didn't have anything, I just had to guess. Ask me, what day do I read the Megillah Svara? I would tell you, historically, it makes sense to read on the 13th, because the 13th is the day of the miracle. That's the day where the Jews were allowed to attack the Goyim and defend themselves and regain their honor, their status. So it makes sense logically that I can read the 13th, so I don't need the verse to teach me about the 13th. I need the verse to teach me about the 11th and the 12th. Okay? So guys, Allah Lamaisa. Wait, let's finish this. Ask the Gemara, maybe we should read on the 16th and the 17th. Says the Gemara, Velo Ya'avol K'tiv. It says in the Megillah, Lo Ya'avol, you can't read past the days of. What are the days of? 14 and 15, so you can't read past that. Says the Gemara. So again, answer number 1. So why do we read 11, 12, and 13? Guys, what's the reason? First answer is because of the word Zman Nehem. The extra Yud Hey is remez to teach you that there's more than just 14 and 15. There's more than that. There's also 11 and 12. 13 is a Svara. 14 and 15 is Mefalash in the Megillah. Next, second reason. The Rosh Hashanah has a different source. Why did it say Keyamim? What's the kaf? Yamim, Keyamim, Lerabot Yudal Yudbet. So the Keyamim is to add days like the days. Days like the days. What are days like the days? More days like the days that are already written down. The days that are already written down are 14 and 15. So we're adding also 11 and 12. Says the Gemara, maybe we should add 12 and 13. Says the Gemara, 13 is a svara, we don't need, everybody agrees that 13 it doesn't need a verse. It's svara, it's pshita. Ask the Gemara, because the Gemara, we can't add shitza and shitza, we can't add 16 and 17, because it says, Velo Ya'avol K'tiv. Ask the Gemara, Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, right? He's the second reason. So the guy, first reason why we read 11, 12, and 13, guys, is because of the Zmani Hem. Second reason we read it is because it says in the Megillah, Kayamim. What's the kaf? Kayamim is like the days. Means there's other days like the days. Okay? Ask the Gemara, why does each authority not hold like the other person? So we're going to start with the second reason. Rav Shimon Achmini, says, answers the Gemara, do you know why? He doesn't like this hay that we learn from the hay. He doesn't like this. He'd rather have a stronger source. Ask the Gemara, why do you learn from the verse Mikayamim? Answers the Gemara, to teach you of the future. Yeah, to teach you that in the future they should also do 14 and 15, right? And not deviate. Okay, next piece. This Mishnah was written in the name of Rabbi Akiva Stimta. What does Stimta mean? Stimta means that a stam Mishnahs are going to be referring to Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, and this Mishnah is a stam. What's a stam? Stam means a Mishnah that has no name. Nobody is the author. So it's Rabbi Akiva. So says Rabbi Yochanan, this Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. The dog is zman zmanim. And why? Why does he add 11, 12, and 13? Because zman zmanim. Aval chachamim, but the rabbis, the rabbis are going to Rabbi Akiva and say we never read the Megillah past, it's always 14 or 15. Mesave, we have a brayso that contradicts this. When do we read the Megillah on 11, 12, and 13? But these days, yeah, when there's no Beis Din, only when there's a Beis Din we read on 11, 12, and 13. But in these days when there's no Beis Din, nowadays, because we look at the day we read the Megillah, we count 30 days ahead in order to know when Pesach is, because Pesach is 30 days exactly after Purim. That's why we cannot read past 14. Why can't we read 13, 12, or 11? Because if somebody by mistake starts counting Pesach from the 11th of Adar, he'll be eating matzah on the 11th of Adar. He'll be finishing Pesach on Yud Aleph Nisan. He'll be finishing eating matzah on Yud Chet Nisan, for example. So Yud Tet, Chaf Chaf Aleph, he'll be eating chametz on Pesach. That's why we don't deviate, we only stick to 14 and 15. Ask the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda is holding like who? If he's following Rabbi Akiva's philosophy, he said Haitakanta. Because Rabbi Akiva lived also after the Churban Abayis. So Rabbi Akiva lived in a time when there was no Beis Din. The fact that Rabbi Akiva holds that we still read the Megillah 11, 12, and 13 means he contradicts it. He goes against Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, so we see from here that the Rabbi Yehuda actually holds like the rabbis. What is the rabbis? The rabbis are the people who say we don't read on 11, 12, and 13. But when do we not read 11, 12, and 13? Only when there's no Beis Din. But when there's a Beis Din, we do read 11, 12, and 13. So we see this goes against Rabbi Yochanan Tiyufta. In Shas, whenever we have this idea of Tiyufta, the Rabbi Yochanan Tiyufta, it says the word Tiyufta twice in Shas, it means that it's been totally knocked out, and the opinion is no longer. Okay? I remember Rabbi Yochanan, again, Rabbi Yochanan said that according to the rabbis, we never read on 11, 12, and 13. We just prove from here that we do. When there's a Beis Din, we do read 11, 12, and 13, even according to the rabbis. So we just contradicted Rabbi Yochanan. We have a second way of reading this. Okay, the difference between the Ikadam rays, Rashi points out, is the fact that Rabbi Yochanan isn't explaining Rabbi Akiva's svara. Earlier he said Rabbi Akiva's svara is because of the word zmani him. Here he's not explaining Rabbi Akiva's svara. Tani nami hachi. We have a brayso. Says the brayso. Tani nami hachi. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Imosai. When do we read the Megillah 11, 12, and 13? Bizman shashalim ketiknan b'Yisrael shuvin al matan. Amar bizman hazeh. Nowadays when there's no Beis Din, ho'el b'mistaklim ba, ein kurin ota el bizmana. Okay, next piece. Ravashi, Kashya, sorry for taking so long, the first Amud of Megillah is famously hard. Okay, Ravashi, Kashya, de Rabbi Yehuda. Ravashi asked Rabbi Yehuda on Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, no, that's good. Says the Gemara, Ravashi, Kashya, de Rabbi Yehuda. Ravashi asked, he saw a stira between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda. So he would re-explain, instead of saying it's Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda contradicting themselves, he would say this is Rabbi Yehuda and this is Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. That way it's not contradictory because it's two different men. They're allowed to contradict, right? So what's the story? Okay, says the Gemara. Amud Beis. We're learning the first line and Amud Beis on the top. So, again. Ravashi Kashle de Rabbi Yehuda. U'moikim la braisa ki Rabbi Yehuda. So it goes like this. Umi amar Rabbi Yehuda bezman hazeh ho'il b'mistaklin It was Rav Yehuda's philosophy that nowadays, because we don't have Beis Din, so we read it only in 14 and 15, we have a brisa that goes against this. Amar Rav Yehuda, Emosai. When do we read on the 14 and 11, 12, and 13? Right? Every time it says the word Emosai, I recommend you guys to write down next to the word Emosai. When do we read on 11, 12, and 13? Because it's a little confusing. Emosai. When do we read on 11, 12, and 13? Yeah? Makom shenichnasin b'sheni v'chamishi. A place where they enter the city on Mondays and Thursdays. Aval makom shenichnasin b'sheni v'chamishi. En korin ota ela bizmana. Yeah, so we see that according to Rav Yehuda, it's not about Beis Din or no Beis Din. This Rav Yehuda says it's about Mondays and Thursdays. If you visit Mondays and Thursdays, then you read on 11, 12, and 13. But if the villagers don't visit the city on Mondays and Thursdays, we don't do 11, 12, and 13. We read on the 14th. So there's no mention of Beis Din. So Rav Yehuda earlier said that that's all about Beis Din, and now he's saying it's all about Mondays and Thursdays. So he's contradicting himself. Says the Gemara. But nowadays, even when there's no Beis Din, theoretically, if the villagers visit the city on Mondays and Thursdays, we'd read 11, 12, and 13. Question. Answers the Gemara. So how does Rav Ashi fix today? He fixes the brisa and he calls it in the name of Rav Yossi bar Rav Yehuda. Instead of it being Rav Yehuda and Rav Yehuda, it's Rav Yossi bar Rav Yehuda and Rav Yehuda. Now ask the Gemara a very, very obvious question, and you guys should definitely be asking this question as well. So, whenever you have a question in Shas, can you just say, "Oh, okay, I don't understand this. I'm just going to delete the name and rewrite the new name"? Is that Judaism? Is that how we work? Is that how we operate? We just change gears however we feel like it, right? Do we just erase somebody's name because it suits us? We can't erase the Masorah. This is how could Rav Ashi do this? How could he has a question? Okay, you can have questions, but that's because of that you're going to change the Torah. What are we, Christians? Answer to Gemara. This is the answer. So guys, listen. This is a very important also philosophy in Judaism. Listen carefully. Rav Ashi shmi'a lei de ika de tani la Rav Yehuda, de ika de tani la Rav Yossi bar Rav Yehuda. Umi de kashi lei de Rav Yehuda. Omar man de tani la Rav Yehuda lav davka, man de tani la Rav Yossi bar Yehuda davka. Very easy. Rav Ashi in the Beis Medrash, he was listening. Seder Aleph. He was like, well, that chavrus over there, they're calling this brisa in the name of Rav Yehuda. And that Charusa over there, they're calling this brisa in the name of Rav Yossi bar Rav Yehuda. So it's not so clear who the author is. One time it's Rav Yehuda, one time it's Rav Yossi bar Rav Yehuda. Okay, it's tricky. So it must be, because of my question, it must be that Charusa is right and that Charusa is wrong. Clear? So he wasn't inventing his own svara. He was listening to the Charusa to his left and the Charusa to his right and said, okay, there's two different Masoras, A or B. I'm going to go with B because of my question. So that you're allowed to do. You're allowed to go with a different opinion as long as it's already been founded. Okay, you can't invent things. No such thing as inventing ideas in Torah. We're not inventors. We're not scientists. All right. A walled city read on the 15th. Ask the Gemara. Where does it say in the Torah that a walled city reads on the 15th? It says in the Megillah that we read on the 14th and 15th, but it doesn't say that walled cities on the 15th. It doesn't say that. It says the Gemara. Amar Rove. Says Rava. De'amar Kro. Al ken hayudim ha'prazim hayushvim ba'ari ha'prazot. It says in the verse, ha'prazim. What does prazim mean? Prazim means opened cities, open cities. It says that open cities read on the 14th. That's what it says. It says the Gemara, mi de prazim ba'arba'asar mukafin chomam mukafin b'chamisha. This is proof if open cities read on the 14th, it must be that walled cities read on the 15th. Ask the Gemara, that's very weak. Ve'ema prazim ba'arba'asar mukafin klal klalo. Maybe open cities read on the 14th, but walled cities never read the Megillah ever. They're putter, right? Because you don't have a source, don't invent things. If you don't have a source, then don't say it. Don't invent it though. Says the Gemara, wait. Velav Yisraelinu, aren't they Jews? What do you mean they're putter from Megillah? Aren't people in a walled city also Jewish? Don't they learn Seder Aleph? Don't they learn Torah? What? They're not Jewish? I don't understand. So of course they need to listen to the Megillah. Second question, it says in the Megillah, Mihodu vat Kush. It says that we read the Megillah from India all the way to Africa. Hodwat Kush. And that involves everybody inside, walled or not walled. Answers the Gemara like this. Ktiv. Okay, answers the Gemara like this. Ve'ema prazim. So that's obvious. That's why we say that people in a walled city must read. Ask the Gemara. Ve'ema prazim ba'arbeisar mukafin ba'arbeisar u'bechameisar. Maybe people that are in a walled city read both 14 and 15. Kedi chtiv, it says, Liot osim et yom ha'arba'asar lechodesh adar v'tomar chamishasar b'chol shana. Says the Gemara, no. יהיה וכתיב את יום 14 ו-15 תוו, כדקמרס. But since it says, השד הכתיב את יום 14 ואת יום 15, עשה את ופסיק. Because the word it, it's a hefsek, and it says there's 14th and then there's 15th. There's two different systems. We don't say 14th and 15th. So that's our proof that walled cities in the 15th and open cities in the 14th. Ask the Gemara, Hani ba'arbesar v'ani b'chamesar. Oh yeah, that's it. Ask the Gemara new question. Ask the Gemara, maybe open cities on the 14th, but walled cities, if they wanted the 14th, if they wanted the 15th, what do they feel like? Says the Gemara, no, this is impossible. What does that mean? It's either the 14th or the 15th. You can't have the possibility of both 14th and 15th in front of you. It has to be or this or that. There's a kasav. Ask the Gemara, maybe we should read on the 13th, right? Answers the Gemara, no. We don't read on the 13th. Why don't we read on the 13th if you're a walled city? It says Keshushan. We learned from Shushan. Shushan was a walled city, and they read on the 15th. So since we have a source for a walled city reading on the 15th, so we do the same. Ask the Gemara, Ashkechon, we're going to finish with this. Ask the Gemara, Ashkechon Asiya. We have a source in the Torah that we do Asiya, Mishlach Manos, every single year. Schira Binona. What's the source that we read the Megillah every year? Answers the Gemara, Amar Karo, Behayoim Ma'ele Nizkorim Venasim. Itkash Schira Asiya. Alright, Shkoyach. That's the end of Daf Bet, and we'll do Daf Gimel later.